So I was out in the car and I had run out of screen wash, and it didn't matter how much the wipers went back and forth, they weren't cleaning the windscreen, they were just making the problem worse. You know how when you just keep spreading that mess across the windscreen and you just can't see properly. So I had to pull over, I had to open the bonnet, I had to find the screen wash, I had to find my water bottle, and I had to fill it up so that I could keep going on my way. And then when I pressed for the screen wash and it squirted up the screen and the windscreen wipers did their thing, I was able to see. Clarity. Like, really helpful. It also came with a dose of smugness because there was actually screen wash in the car boot. Could have been a desperate search to go and find a place to buy it. But if you don't have clarity on your brand, then it doesn't matter how regularly you post, how often those wipers swish backwards and forwards to make it any easier for other people to know what you're all about, to know what you're selling, or to feel a connection with you and your business. You need to stop the car, you find your screen wash and clean up your act. Clarity means that you get your brand, you know what matters, you know what you want to share, and you aren't being confusing or messy. A confused mind never buys, so provide clarity so your audience can see what you do. And then when you spray it everywhere, you'll be able to make sure that the message is clear. There are various different questions you can ask yourself to gain clarity. So just this week, I asked one of my brand coaching clients 3 questions to help her move forward with her brand. And the questions were, what are your brand values? What is your big business dream, and who is your ideal customer? And these are super important questions that really matter, and questions that give you clarity. They show you what you really care about in your business, where you want to go and who you want to travel with. Your brand values are the stuff that you really care about. They're the non-negotiables in your business. They're not the obvious stuff, the things that people expect from you anyway. You would expect me to be creative, so creative is not one of my values. It would be a wasted word because you expect that anyway. So it's like, what makes you different? What makes me different is adventure. So I'm all about taking you on an adventure, getting you to the top, reaching your goals, pushing you, and having fun along the way. Lots of tea breaks, because it's really important, exploring, thinking about the stuff that you thought about, maybe not thought about before, trying new things, getting muddy boots and finding that new perspective, because when you go on an adventure and you start to look at things differently, that makes such a difference to your brand and your business. And when you're looking about your values as well, you can Google values and find words and phrases and paragraphs from the businesses that you know and love. So you can try Facebook and IKEA are good, Build-A-Bear is good. There's loads of different places where you can go and find values written for the businesses, and quite often there'll be like a phrase and then there'll be a paragraph behind it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but I think it's best to keep it as simple as possible. So if you can have like a phrase or a word and you know what it means and you've got an explanation for that, that's a lot better than having reams and reams of words to explain your values, because the simpler it is, the less you've got to remember, the easier it is going to be to implement those values in your business, because this isn't just an exercise that you do for making things look really nice just once. It's something that you think about every time you do anything. And then your big dream is all about what you want to achieve. So this can be big and scary, that's fine. It just needs to be something or some things that you really would love to happen. So for me, this is to educate, empower and support business owners like you to discover that branding can be easy and help you fall back in love with your business. For another client, it could be to have a building that would benefit the community, or to employ 10 people, or to be known as the go-to person in the UK for making bunting, or to help 5 people take more time for themselves each month, or simply to earn so much money every month. This is simply about knowing where you're headed, what the top of your mountain or the X on your treasure map looks like, and then you can work out what your business needs to do to get you there, and the position you need to create for your brand to support that goal, because you can't get there if you don't know where there is. And then the last question was about knowing as much about your customer as you can. This is really helpful because you can't connect with someone when you don't know who they are. So it's great to know the usual stuff, the obvious stuff everyone thinks of, like age, location, profession. But that stuff isn't as good as the stuff that really makes the connection work, which is, it helps you to know what they do in their spare time, where they shop, what they care about, where they visit, what they read and watch, where they hang out, if they do like business things, where do they do that, so that you could go there as well. It helps to think about who they are not. So if you're struggling thinking about who your ideal customer is, write a list of who they are not, who they definitely aren't, who you wouldn't want to be working with. What are they worrying about? How are they feeling before they find you, during the process, when they're working with you? What makes them tick? What grabs their attention? What do they really care about? Are there any causes they support? The more questions you can ask of your customer and get to know as much about them as possible, maybe through conversation. You could create a group and get people chatting in there. You can ask them questions directly. But the more you get to know them, the easier it's going to be to connect with those people. So I know after 12 years of conversation with the most amazing clients that many of my clients, a huge percentage, used to be teachers. And they left because they didn't enjoy the changes that were happening in education. And all of this paperwork, everything they have to go through to do their job. Or they wanted to make a change that they didn't feel they were able to do in school. So they left because that was just so difficult for them. So they love being outside. That's another thing about them. They love picking flowers, going for a run, camping like me, climbing hills like me, things like that. And they probably have children. And of course they run a business that they're really excited about, which is going to be either selling beautiful things that make them really smile, or they get to help people without having to jump through all those hoops that they had to jump through when they worked in a school. And their businesses really light them up. They give them purpose and an escape so that they are excited for their future, and they want to look the business as well so that they can give themselves the highest possible chance of success, because they know that people do judge a book by its cover, even though we're all told that no, you don't need to do that. And they don't feel they have the skills to create the visuals themselves, so they're probably really creative in other ways. So knowing this sort of thing, and I could go on, there's quite a lot of stuff that I know about my ideal customer, it really helps you to connect with your customers ahead of time and speak to them directly. So you can see that you get a lot of clarity thinking about your brand just through these 3 questions. If you want more clarity, then I am running an office hour on Friday. You are welcome to come to celebrate my 12th business anniversary. So it's going to be an office hour. I'm also going to cover the 12 steps to brand success in a really short masterclass, which will cover another load of questions like those ones to help you move forward, gain that clarity, and be able to spread it everywhere without it making everything much messier and more confusing for the people who are watching. So it'd be great to see you there. There'll be a link somewhere on this video. Please do click it, come and join me, and I'll see you on the Zoom call.